for a half hour of high adventure.
And welcome back to Real Talk Rewind. I'm your host, Chris, and this is a place where we take the stories from the past, those ones that never really die, the ones that keep showing up in hushed conversations and documentaries and late-night radio shows, and we look at them with clear eyes. We don't sensationalize, we don't water it down. We rewind the tape and ask what really happened. Today's rewind takes us to November 1975, to a small town in Arizona where a logging crew finished a long day of cutting timber and headed home. 6 men piled into a truck. 5 of them made it back to town. The 6th, he vanished into the night. His name was Travis Walton, and his disappearance became one of the strangest, most hotly debated cases in American history. This isn't just a UFO story. This is a true crime mystery. A man disappeared. His co-workers were accused of murder. Polygraphs were given. Investigations dragged on. And when Travis Walton finally returned, the story only deepened the mystery. So let's rewind to Snowflake, Arizona, November 5th, 1975. The crew that day was made up of 6 loggers. Mike Rogers, the crew boss, along with his brother-in-law Travis Walton, and 4 other men. They'd been working on a contract to thin out the forest near Sitgreaves National Forest. As the sun set, the men packed up their tools and crammed into Rogers' pickup truck. They were tired, dirty, and ready for dinner. But on the drive back to town, something caught their attention. A strange light glowed through the trees ahead. At first, they thought it might be a fire, but as the truck rolled closer, the men saw something hovering just above the ground. A bright, disc-shaped object. Now here's where the story breaks away from the ordinary and never really recovers. The truck stopped. Travis Walton, 22 years old, curious and bold, jumped out before anybody could stop him. He walked toward the glowing object. His friends shouted for him to get back, but he kept going. Then came the flash. A burst of blinding blue-green light shot from the object and struck Travis. His body lifted off the ground, thrown back like a rag doll. The men panicked. In terror, they hit the gas and sped down the dirt road, leaving their friend behind. But almost immediately, the guilt set in. After a short distance, Rogers stopped the truck. The men argued, terrified, but knowing they couldn't just abandon Travis. They turned around and went back. But when they returned, the clearing was empty. The strange light was gone, and so was Travis Walton. The crew barreled back into Snowflake and reported what had happened to law enforcement. Imagine being the sheriff that night, listening to a group of dirty, shaken loggers telling you their friend was taken by a UFO. Deputy Sheriff Chuck Ellison took the first report. He said the men looked generally distraught, some near tears. But a UFO abduction? That wasn't exactly something lawmen were prepared to investigate. Within hours, suspicion shifted. If Travis Walton wasn't really taken, then what happened to him? Small towns breed rumors fast. Whispers of murder spread. Maybe the men had fought. Maybe they had killed Walton and are using a wild story to cover it up. Sheriff Marlon Gillespie launched a search of the area. Deputies, volunteers, and even helicopters scoured the forest. No signs of Travis. The pressure mounted. The 5 remaining men became suspects in a possible homicide. To clear themselves, the crew agreed to take polygraph tests. The examinations were run by the Arizona Department of Public Safety, overseen by Cy Gilson, a respected polygraph operator with years of experience. 4 of the 5 passed, showing no signs of deception when asked if they had harmed Travis Walton or knew where his body was. The 5th test was deemed inconclusive. Not failed, just muddled. To law enforcement, this was stunning. If these men had conspired to cover up a murder, it was almost impossible that all of them could keep their story straight under pressure. Polygraphs aren't perfect, but the odds of 5 men maintaining a lie without a crack were slim. The UFO story, as bizarre as it sounded, began to look less like a cover-up and more likely the only explanation they could give. 5 days later, the case took another turn. On the night of November 10th, 1975, Travis Walton reappeared. He was found near Heber, Arizona, disoriented, weak, and terrified. He called his family from a payphone. Walton claimed that after the blast of light hit him, he woke up in some kind of craft. He described beings, not at all human-like, examining him. He panicked, fought back, and eventually escaped into another area of the ship. After what felt like hours, maybe days, he lost consciousness. When he woke again, he was lying on the roadside where he was found. To believers, this was confirmation of the abduction. To skeptics, it was the opening act of a hoax. Medical examinations were performed. Walton was malnourished and dehydrated, but showed no signs of abuse or physical trauma beyond what might be expected after being in the woods for 5 days. The disappearance was real. The question was, what happened in those missing days? The Travis Walton case blew up. It hit national headlines. UFO researchers descended on Snowflake. Skeptics, too. The National Enquirer got involved, offering cash rewards for proof. The crew, once just a group of working men trying to cut timber, were now in the middle of a media circus. Over the years, the story became one of the most famous abduction accounts ever told. Books were written. Debates raged. Skeptics argued it was all a hoax, maybe a way to escape a failed logging contract or to grab attention. Believers pointed to the polygraphs, the consistency of the crew's story, Travis Walton's own shaken testimony. And in 1993, Hollywood came calling. Fire in the Sky hit theaters, dramatizing Walton's account with terrifying special effects and intense abduction sequences. But even Walton himself admitted the film stretched the truth, focusing on horror rather than accuracy. The real story was already chilling enough. Alright, so here's the real talk. Something happened to Travis Walton in November of 1975. That's a fact. He disappeared for 5 days. He came back shaken and changed. His co-workers stuck to their story for decades. Through scrutiny, ridicule, and suspicion, polygraphs suggested they weren't lying. But beyond that, the truth gets murky. If this was a hoax, it was one of the most elaborate and enduring in modern history. Pulling off something like that with 6 men, keeping their story consistent for 50 years, surviving law enforcement pressure, polygraph exams, and endless interviews, that doesn't sound like a simple prank. If it wasn't a hoax, then we're left with questions we don't have answers for. What happened in those woods? Where did Travis go? Now here's what sticks with me. At its heart, this isn't about UFOs or aliens or cosmic mysteries. It's about a group of men who went into the woods and only 5 came back. The 6th disappeared, and when he returned, nothing was ever the same again. Mysteries like these matter not because they prove or disprove what's out there in the stars, but because they remind us of how fragile the truth can be. In small towns, in close-knit crews, in our own memories, sometimes the facts are stranger than fiction. Sometimes they're stranger than we're willing to believe. That's it for this rewind. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Chris, and remember, the past has a way of reaching out to us, whether it's in dusty files, forgotten headlines, or in the night sky above Arizona. Until next time, stay curious, keep questioning, and keep looking deeper.